Hello everyone from Patio Frutal. Today is April the 24th. We are going to show you all the fruit blooms that we're having in Hope Valley, Rhode Island. So, I'm going to show you what's look promising for this coming 2021 season. So, over here we have the giant peach. This fruit is supposed to grow 16 ounces. I haven't seen a peach that big. I've seen it close to half a pound, but not on this tree though. I've seen them on the store. So we'll see if this one comes true. Last year had a nice blossom, and we had a late spring frost that killed all the fruit. Went down to 23 degrees. And that was it, killed all the fruit. So last year was not too many fruits. So moving along, this one here is a peach. And it's looking awesome. We got a lot of bumblebees. I'm going to show you the bumblebees. There you go. That's a bumblebee doing the job. Because there's a lot of mason bees. Mason bees. You can see them right there. They're not your regular bees. These are, they have no sting. So they're good to have. If you can put some mason bees hives so they can put their larvae in there, that'll be awesome for your garden. That way you get pollinators without stings. So moving along, we have this plum, which had a catastrophe, a tree fall on it, and it died, most of it, and you see the scars. So it's the first time, because of the frost last year, that it's having a bloom, but it didn't produce any prior to that because it didn't have a pollinator. So when that tree came crashing on it, well, from the rootstock, we have these burgundy leaves, peaches, which you don't know the name because it's just the rootstock. And look at that, the rootstock, it's flowering. So now it has its own cross-pollinator, and hopefully we'll get some peaches. Plums. I get them all mixed up, so many fruit trees close to each other. So this is another plum. And this one is a semi-dwarf. And this one has been on the ground for maybe 20 years. And it produces the plums that are the sweet. The smell of it is unbelievable. Very, very sweet. So it looks like it's having a good flowering year. We'll see how many fruit we get. Hopefully we'll get lots of it. And this tiny plum tree here, as you can see, it doesn't have too many leaves, but it's having some little blossoms. This is the first time that produces flower. This one has been on the ground for 3 years. So I say it's like a 5-year-old plant, but in the ground, because when you buy it, I buy rootstock. They have no dirt on it, so usually it'll take them a while to catch on. But it's good planting, so there you go. He's also gonna produce some plums, I hope. Keep my fingers crossed. So coming into the bee yard, we have some pears. The pears are in bloom too. And I have 6 different types of pears. So if you see more than one pear tree, they're all in the pear family, but they're just different varieties. It's like oranges. You get tangerine, tangerines, oranges, satsuma oranges. You got all kinds of, you got lemons and limes. They're all in the same family. So, but different varieties. This other, over here we come to a cherry tree, which I'm hint to believe that it is a flower cherry. I don't think it will produce fruit. I rescued this one from a friend that was moving, and so it's a Prunus yedensis. So it has beautiful blooms, but we'll see if it produces fruit. I have no idea if it does. But okay, so we're going to be moving along to another peach. It's a semi-dwarf, and this is a seedling that grew from that peach tree, and that's also loaded. And that one produces an incredible amount of fruit every year. Even last year when the frost came, it managed to produce some fruit flowers after the frost. And that's the only one that we got peaches from. Now this one here is a taller tree. And that's what you have to think sometimes when you buy fruit trees, whether you want them to be dwarf, semi-dwarf, you know, because they'll grow if you don't designate the size of trees that you can grow in your area. I mean, for your yard. So we're gonna come over here, and we got a nectarine. Nectarine is almost like a peach for those that don't know. Now I'll get you the name of it. It's a sun glow nectarine. And this one, well, same story from last year. But this one, it flowers for the first time. And you see I planted these close, they're like maybe 25 feet apart. And this one is we're gonna produce some nectarine. And this one is a crimson gold nectarine. And what's not flowering? Well, this is my new, I put it in last summer. This is a kiwi vine that looks like a tropic kiwi. I didn't know if it was gonna make it, so I had him cover. So I planted 2 plants in the ground last summer, 2020. And this one looked like it survived. The other one, I'm not quite sure. So now, this one here, it's fig. And fig, see up to here, they are alive. So I got some figs last year. I didn't think I was gonna get any, because it's the same story. This one kind of died off. Figs are kind of finicky over here. You have to protect them a lot. So we're gonna design a new method to have them, not die so much back in the winter time. And this is another pear. As you can see, this thing is, I'm going to tell you how tall this plant is. It's about 25 feet tall. And it's pretty tall. So I have learned, since I let that one grow so tall, to keep my plants small. So that's why all the other ones are on the smaller side. But that's an older plant that I put in the ground. So that one's been in the ground for like 20 years. So we're going to move along, and we're going to keep on showing you what's blooming in Hope Valley in Patio Frutal. So this one here is my Japanese plum. It's called Shiro. This is a yellow plum, very good plum. It's not overly sweet, but it's delicious. The flesh, very juicy. And I love it. They're delicious. So coming along here, oh, look at those logs. Those logs here in the ground, we're gonna have some, we're gonna have a chantilly plum tree over here, not plum, jujube. Chantilly is gonna be here, and then there's gonna be a pluot and a plum cut. So they're both gonna be side by side. The reason that tree is gonna be there, that's another plum. It's going to be the cross-pollinator for those 2 plants. Once those 2 plants get established, and that one is going to go, because I want to line up things to be in order. Not going to plant close proximity anymore. So, okay, so here we have bumblebees. Lots of bumblebees. Look at that. Look at the little, I don't know if you can see the little mason bees. They're very small, they almost look like a flying ant. But they'll do the cross-pollination, and that's what you want. You want fruit trees next to each other from the same kind, not the same variety, but the same kind family. So we got 2 Asian pear here. This one is a golden Asian pear, and that one there, see how it's all tied up? Because I want it to be not too tall. And this is the giant Asian pear. Last year I produced about 100 fruit. This one didn't produce any, because this one got really hit by the frost. So this one was, the giant Asian pear was my best producer of the pears. So now we're moving along from the Asian pears, and this is my cherries. Now this baby cherry I transplanted here last year, and it's doing very well indeed. And this one is called the Hardy Giant. So this is the big ones you see like in the store, like in Stop and Shop. Look at the blooms. Look at the blooms. Unbelievable. So next to it, well, not next to it, we're gonna have about probably another 25 feet apart from that cherry. We have this other one here. And this is a European cherry. English, and from England. So this one gonna cross-pollinate with the other giant one over there. And look at this. I mean, this video is titled Fruit Blooms, but this is not bloom yet. But look at this. See all these little balls here? These are from my mango pawpaw. They don't have any leaves yet, but the flowers will open up before you get any leaves. And the cross-pollination from this fruit is not done by honeybees. It's done by like a little beetle or fly, because the flower is a little stinky. So it'll be not a bee that's going to come to do the cross-pollination. So what I'll do is I'll do hand pollinations from one plant. Those are NC1 over there, golden pawpaws, and I have some other pawpaws everywhere. So moving from that cherry, now look at the size of those blooms. That's the English cherries, and right next to it, these are the sugar sweet cherry. And you know, the name says sugar sweet, but they're not really that sweet, but they are good to eat. Because see, when you plant different varieties, they don't all be ripening at the same time, and that's what you want in your yard, especially if you're in a temperate zone like I am, where you get snow. You know, you get all 4 seasons. So in the summertime, you don't want all your fruit to come in July, and then you got nothing for the rest. So these fruits, they all have a gap through the summer for their production. And like, we'll move to this little plant. So look over here. Before we go to the other one, we got these native plums. I got this 3 years ago, and it's producing flowers, blooms for the first time. You see the little blooms? And this one is a little plum. It's not a big fruit. So we're moving along, and this is my apricot, sweetheart apricot. But don't look like it's gonna have any blooms this year. But you see, so what we have here, this is a persimmon. And look at my tag. See my tag? When you lose your tag, you do something so you can remember what it is. When you have a lot of fruit, you don't remember the variety, the name. This is the early golden persimmon, and as you can see, there's barely anything. Where's my hand? There's barely any little buds is coming out, but they will, and they'll be the last when the cold weather comes in, late October. That's when you're gonna have some ripening fruit. And this one here, oh my goodness, I haven't seen this I planted this a week ago. This is a gala apple. As you can see there, there's some little flower buds. This one I bought it from Lowe's, the L store. So we have over there, we have blueberries, which are not blooming. But anyway, the gala apple is start to bloom. This one over here, this one is a persimmon. This is the Proc persimmon. Another variety. So I got 3 persimmon plants, and they all 3 are different varieties. This is my prolific pawpaw. It's loaded with flower buds, but they're not open yet. So we keep it on. That's a currant, red currant, and they have full of blooms. They have good fruit. It's just mostly for the birds. I don't bother eating them. They're not the most delicious, but hey, that's what they are. So, hey, we come to this part of the yard where the chicken coop are. And look at them. They come to see Papa. Look at that. That's Ruby. Look at that. That snow puff right there. So, all right. So we're moving along. Come to another persimmon plant. And this one, I can't remember the name. It's the Yates American. But like the other persimmon plant, there barely any buds. They haven't have any leaves yet, so they'll be later because they're later production. This is my Saturn Peach, which is in bloom, and if you can see, I chopped him up last year because he was growing too big. See? But you see, they have a new growth coming up. And see where are you? So they have a new growth. So they will be. There it is. That beautiful. And then this one is another seedling peach from my yard, and I have to chop it down because I'm gonna keep them small. You see how thick that wood is. The wood is like 2.5 inches across. So I cut it down. The tree is not dead. It just, see, you start to see the little blooms. So he's gonna grow a lot of blooms, and I'm gonna keep it low because I don't want to be climbing. So I know some of you probably don't know this plant. This is a chestnut. A chestnut, this is an American chestnut. It's a fruit. You cook it boil, and you boil it, and it's like a sweet potato. It's sweet like a sweet potato. So it's an American chestnut. Hopefully it will produce for the first time. This one has been on the ground for like 15 years. And I think this is going to be the year that she's going to start blooming. And we're coming to another blooming plant over here. This is another variety of Saturn Peach. And this is a baby plant. This is only about 3 feet tall. And this one, it's probably will produce this year for the first time. Even though last year she had little peaches on, the frost killed them. So hopefully it will be a warmer. And last but not least, see this little baby here? This tree has been on the ground for 2 years. And this one is called the Heart of Elephant. It's a dark red plum. Yeah, Burbank Heart of Elephant. And it's only been on the ground for 2 years, and it's already having some blooms. And as you can see, it's a different variety, but it's a cross from the Chiro plum. It's about 30 feet apart, but they get the cross pollination with the bees and the bumblebees and stuff like that. So there you go, guys. That's what's blooming in Patio Frutal. I hope you like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about it. Look at the bees. All these bees that you see there, those mason bees, they are stingless. So that's why you gotta have mason bees houses, or little hives. They're made out of bamboo, and you have them, spread all over your garden. The birds will be, the bees will be pollinating your fruit, and you're gonna have lots of fruit. So here you go, guys, from Patio Frutal. Have a good evening.